Welcome everyone to this webinar. I'm here with an ex-student of mine, Christina. Now, Christina got the highest ranking in SBL in her country, and I think she was in the top 30 in the whole world. She lives in Milan. Her first language is Italian. English is a secondary language, yet she managed to be the highest ranking in SBL. And I'm really interested on how she did it, so that others maybe watching can learn from some of the techniques she used. So you too can be a prize winner, just like Christina. So thanks for joining us, Christina. I hope you're well.
Thank you.
Yep. And
Thank you for the opportunity.
no problem whatsoever. But I mean, thank you for sharing what obviously worked because you became a prize winner. So just on that note, what do you think helped you become a prize winner? If you're to give advice to other students, what should they do that you did that helped you do so well?
I believe the key to my success was approaching this exam not as an academic exercise, but much more as a real world business simulation. My core principle was to move beyond simply recalling theoretical models. And instead, for every point I made, I asked myself how these specifically apply to this company in this industry, taking into consideration the unique set of problems and opportunities of the case scenario. So rather than just stating a fact, my goal was to provide actionable advice that a board of director could generally use.
Fantastic.
This
So you
implied
put
that
yourself,
I
you
focused on developing commercial acumen and ensuring that my recommendations were grounded on the case scenario.
Great. That just sounds absolutely perfect. That would be exactly the advice I would give people, and you've taken it. So fantastic. So what about study? How did you study? What was your approach that maybe people can learn from you?
My approach was built on a foundation of organization and consistency because I knew that balancing work, personal time, and study is crucial in every aspect. Of course, so I created a detailed plan that I follow from the beginning. As soon as I enroll in your course, I study mapping out all the entire syllabus against the time that I had available, and I planned my monthly, weekly, and daily activities. And then just follow your study plan, stacking to the schedule diligently. So my sessions were focused on understanding concept rather than just on memorization. And I made extensive use of your exercise and mock exams, especially under timed condition to replicate the real exam environment. So I plan the day and my appointment based on the time that I needed to do the exercises or the mock exam. So I think that structuring your study is fundamental to your success.
Fantastic. But I think you didn't just structure your study, you kind of structured your life, didn't you? So you
Yes,
went to work, you had an Aperol spritz with your
deeply.
friends, and it was all organized.
Yes, having a balanced approach is the key to success, I
Yeah,
think.
and I think you were also telling me that you found for you personally, and it's not the same for everyone, but your brain works best early in the morning, so you would study or
Yes,
arrange
I
time then.
studied early in the morning. Yes,
Brilliant,
because
brilliant.
I have a student background, and I think that that time, that those 2 hours early in the morning were fundamental to review topics, and being able in the evening when I came home from work to do some exercise. Just a quick topic to review daily.
Great. Fantastic. Well, I'm very impressed, Christina, and I am not surprised you were the prize winner. The other thing that's amazing is the fact that your native language is Italian. and English is just one of your secondary languages. And I have students who say, oh, English isn't my first language. This exam is very difficult, which I'm not saying it's not difficult, but you have risen to that challenge and answered an exam, which is quite a discursive exam in English, and won a prize and become higher than thousands of other English speakers in the world. You're in the top 30 in the world, and the prize winner in Italy. What helped you develop a good business English? It's not just English, because you have to think in strategic thinking and talk in business English. What would you say helped you to become good at that?
My main tip is to actively immerse yourself in the language of international business. So I followed your advice that we have in the first interview to read high quality business journalism in English every day. So publication like Financial Times, Economist, or Harvard Business Review became part of my study routine. And last but not least, I listen a lot to your podcast. So, for example, while driving to work, I listen to your the podcast related to a specific topic that I was reviewing, and this helped to improve my professional vocabulary, but above all, to the ability to be able to write concisely and to be persuasive. This is fundamental, I think, in the exam to develop your to be able to show your commercial acumen and awareness. So the
Brilliant.
advice is just not to study the notes, but to engage with how business is discussed and debated in the real world.
Yeah. And do you still do that? Did you develop an interest in business?
And yes, because now I'm studying for another ACCA exam and I
Okay.
follow this approach.
Okay. Okay. But some people say they actually, when they start developing an interest in business, they actually quite enjoy it, and it makes them a better person in interviews because they can, answer interview questions with a bit more confidence and knowledge.
Yes,
And
self-confidence is, of course, improved because you have been able to discuss also topics that are always more important, like, for example, ethics, using some strategic words that can help to better convey the concept to the board of directors or to the company that is hiring you as a consultant.
brilliant. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, this is all great advice, Christina, and I'm sure students watching are very grateful. I mean, you did enroll on a platinum course with me, and I'm curious. I've always liked feedback in terms of how it helped, and maybe how could it improve. Or, I mean, it's great you read the journalism, but does a course help, or do you think it's better studying on your own?
I think that your course was a critical part of my success, and I genuinely believe that it was an excellent investment. I think that the most useful part for me was your personalized exam feedback, because I was not only able to receive the feedback of the mock exam that I submitted, but I had the opportunity to have a web call with you, and so to have a personalized feedback on my weaknesses, and this helped to improve my technique. For example, once in one of the last mock, unfortunately, I failed. And I remember how you helped me to identify the weakest area. And then, based on these notes, I structure and I guided the preparation of my final exam, which I successfully passed.
Well,
So
became a
thanks,
prize winner. Yeah.
Sean.
No, no, it's an absolute pleasure. Well done for taking the advice. Literally, if you take the advice, you should pass. You won't necessarily
Yes.
be a prize winner, but
Yes.
it's always good to listen. So that's fantastic. I'm very impressed, and I'm sure students are really grateful for just sharing. You are not just saying it; you are a living example of being a prize winner. And if I was to summarize, you were very organized. And when I say organized, you weren't like studying all the time. You made time for work and for friends. You also understood that the exam was an applied exam, and therefore you didn't like learn it like you might learn things to regurgitate. You try to understand it, and I think you were a little unnerved maybe at first because I often use things like mind maps to paint a big picture so you can
Yeah.
understand. And I think to begin with, you thought, oh, I need some notes, and there's no textbook.
Yes.
So, but would you say that that is the better way of studying?
Yes, because it helped me to have an helicopter view of the topic. And even though all the other exams CCA exam that I prepared were based on the notes, at the beginning I struggled with your mind maps because I was not accustomed to them. But then, while I was doing the mock exam and the real exam, I appreciated them a lot because I had a wide view, and then I had just to pick the topics and apply to the specific case scenario.
Great, great. I mean, people need to remember that it is you are acting as a strategic business leader, which means your thought processes are at the high level of the organization, not
Yeah.
at the operational level. So you need to have a big picture. And I think understanding it in the form of a mind map gives you that big picture perspective. So it's
Yes.
great. That's your advice. I wish everyone would listen and take the advice like you do. And if you are a student taking the exam, you know, Christina is living proof that it works. And she's happily. You're doing another exam at the moment, are you?
Yes, strategic business reporting.
Okay, okay. So there's a bit more technical stuff in that, but
Yes.
I'm sure you will smash that. And the other thing I was impressed chatting to you, you actually are an Italian chartered accountant already,
Yes.
and you decided
Yes.
on your own bat to do ACCA. Well, because
Yes.
and it's
To
interesting. You tell me the difference between an Italian chartered accountant and the ACCA qualification.
I appreciated a lot CCA qualification because it helped me to have a much more practical point of view on the topics and also a wider point of view on the challenges that a company has to face daily. If the Italian approach is much more theoretical, the CCA approach is practical, and this helps me to boost my mind when I think so, even though I work for Italian companies at the moment, but this wider approach helps me to provide the board of directors with better advice.
No, I think so. And ACCA are continually updating their qualification, and
Yeah.
this is based on what they hear from, the workplace, and that companies want accountants to be able to think more broadly commercially.
Yes.
And it's great that the ACCA are doing this, and I'm sure you will be a much more valuable person in the Italian workplace,
Thank you.
not just the global workplace, because of your ability just to think a bit more commercially rather than just understand the financial accounting standards.
Yes, for example, also that you have to learn how to write a concise report. I've written a lot of reports in my life, but the structure that is required for this exam has helped me to improve the ability to write short sentences, few key words that convey the message that I want to transfer.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I'm grateful, but I'm sure the students listening are really grateful for sharing your tips and your experiences, which have taken you to be the prize winner. I wish you every success going forward. I think you're
Thank
going to
you,
be
Sean.
a very successful finance person with not only the knowledge you've picked up, but with the understanding of the attitude and the approach needed to do really well in business. And I wish you all the best, and thank you for sharing, Christina. It's a
Thank you,
pleasure
Sean.
to have taught you.
Thank you.